You have exactly 1 minute to prepare. Then you must start talking. Start now.
I do know that this is one part of the Ielts speaking test that many students dread, and they shouldn't do. If you follow my advice and you follow my strategies, then it won't trouble you. You should be very confident when you sit in front of that examiner. Remember, you're there to give a description. No matter what the topic, they're going to ask you to describe something. And that makes it a little bit easier if you think about how you're going to tackle this. Now, in this 1 minute, I know you're going to be stressed, but you shouldn't be. And all you have to do in the first 30 seconds of that is to make 2 decisions. The first decision, the important one, exactly what are you going to talk about relating to the topic. And then the second decision should be much easier for you. What strategy are you going to use to answer that particular question and that task and that description? So let me describe more about the strategies and how you should address the answer. What do you think? A little bit too dramatic an opening there? Never mind, because it is a dramatic aspect to many people who go into the Ielts speaking test. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 very simple strategies to be able to effectively answer the Ielts speaking task 2. More importantly, this is just the first video, and you're going to learn these strategies in this video, but then I'm going to create a series of practice videos where we'll look at a large number of cards, one at a time, so they're not taking up too much time, your practice time, but we'll look at them one at a time and we'll decide which strategy we're going to use. And I will develop my answer and you will use this, the strategy to develop your answer. So it's going to be superb practice for you to get confident in this part of the Ielts test. So now let's look at the strategies. Okay, the first strategy we're going to talk about is one that's known as PPF, which stands for the past, the present and the future. Now this is a very well tried and tested strategy, and it's been used by many thousands of students to get through their Ielts speaking, and it works very well. So it is one of the main strategies I would turn to in the first instance, although we do have 2 others that are equally effective. So what do we actually mean by past, present and future? Well, obviously if you're given a topic to talk about, then we can talk about that topic. How was it in the past? Was it, if it was something that you like, did you like it before? Did you like something else before? And give a vivid description of how things were about that in the past. Then move to the present, move to now. How have things changed and what's your preferences how now? Or how has the various aspects of the topic changed in the present day as opposed to the past? So the present should actually take up the main body of your time in the answer. So we want you to talk for 2 minutes. You know, if you get a minute 15, between a minute and a minute 15 here, you can use the 2 other sections of this to build it out, but we'll come back to that in a moment. So this is the main body. The present tense is the main body. That's how you feel now, what you see now, etc. Now future, this is one I always warn my students about. Many times it's not easy to predict how things are going to change in the future. You know, just now there's a lot of things we can see are going to change in the future because of the artificial information aspects that are going on in the world at the moment. But how that's going to change everything and our lives, it's a guess. But as I say, it's not easy to predict the future, and it might not be possible to predict the future. So I tell my students, unless it's absolutely essential, they think they're going to run out of time, they're going to run out of things to say before they get to the end of the time, at the 2-minute time, then by all means, if you can think of something in the future, then talk about it as well. It's very important, and I'll keep saying it to people time and time again, you know, do not start talking around in circles. Do not run out of information and things to say. Once you start going around in circles, you're beginning to waste your time, and you might actually detract from all the good that you've just been through and created. So be careful of that. It's important you use the information, past, present and future. It's only 2 minutes, so a minute for 30 seconds for the past, that's not a lot of talking. A minute for how things are now, and 30 seconds for the future. That does it all. So that's one strategy. I just want to add here, actually, you know, when you are given the task card at the beginning, along with your piece of paper and your pencil, etc., and when you look at the task card, if you're deciding, well, this looks like a past, present and future, you should be able to know right away, well, can I talk about this in the past? Can I talk about this about it now? Which obviously you can. You wouldn't be, you won't be able to answer the question at all. But the main thing is, can I talk about the future tense of this as well? Hey, if you think you can talk in all 3 parts, you've got it made. So our second strategy, duplication. So what do we mean by duplication? Well, making 2. That's what we mean by duplication. So, for instance, if you're asked to describe, say, a book, a piece of art, a person, or a meal, or asked to describe anything, you can then think about, okay, I know a lot about this particular part of the question, but I don't know if I can talk for 2 minutes on it, so I will have another one that I can move to if I run out of things to say about my first option. And this is another very, very common strategy that works very, very well. And we will practice that a lot in the practice lessons when they're coming up, because I find that a lot of my students, and I don't know why, if it's just the way I teach or whatever, but a lot of them actually preferred this particular strategy above the other 2. So it's worth knowing about. So once again, you choose your first alternative, and then you decide on another alternative that you can move to during the conversation if you've run out of things to say. Now then, while we're here, you see here I've written why, who, when, where, what and how. These are absolutely essential pieces of information. And you need to lock these words into your head because they're very, very important. If you go through these each time you're generating your answer, you will have a lot to talk about if you remember the why, who, what, when, where, and how, etc. It's really, really a good way to build your conversation. Now, this third strategy, as far as I know, I'm the only one that's been teaching it, but I'm probably wrong. There's probably other people thought of this as well, but we had some instances in some of my students, and we found that the 2 strategies, there was the occasional question that or task that was very difficult to answer with one of the other 2 strategies. I can't remember what they were now, but we developed this strategy anyway, and it's worked very well for quite a few people actually. And I call this positive and challenging. So once again, similar to task 2, you might be to the second strategy, you might be asked to describe a book or a meal or a holiday and all these things again, but it's not easy to select a second aspect to transfer to. So what we looked at then was keeping the same first aspect, but then introducing some challenges that we may have encountered during whatever it was, with the meal or the book or the whatever you were concentrating on, the holiday, and with the challenging aspects, such as, for instance, maybe they may be financial, things were too expensive and you didn't have enough money, or logistical, transport problems, delays, breakdowns, etc. Another one was medical problems, sickness, accidents, and then communication problems. You couldn't get in touch with the right people at the right time and you left stranded, etc. Or indeed, industrial problems was another one, where there's strikes or protests going on that interfered with your plan or your time there. So that was the third aspect. And as I say, as far as I know, this is a unique one to Teacher Sandy here. Well, there we go. There's the 3 strategies. I've outlined them to you. Now, the other part of using these strategies is getting the practice in to be able to use them effectively. I hope as I've gone through these strategies, you've thought, oh, no, that's a good idea. And then they say, oh, yeah, that's a good idea also. Oh, and I like the third one again as well. So all 3 can be very, very useful if you know how to use them. Now you should follow my practice videos. A great aspect about my videos, they're free. They're absolutely free. You don't have to go on a course or pay somebody to help you practice them. And if you practice with me, hopefully you will get the following benefits. Consistency. Yes, answering these questions should become second nature. You won't be worried about the variety of topics. Bring it on. You can answer it. And of course, another big aspect, time management. You will know, you'll have practiced so much that you will know what you've got to do and say and plan it out, that you fulfill the 2-minute time aspect of the answer. So there you go. And what do I want? Well, if you don't mind, I'd like you to consider subscribing, liking, and ringing that bell. It certainly would help me. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.